welcome to another Disjointed Talk.
What the f do you think you're doing?
Go ahead.
Oh, you sure? You sure it's gonna be okay with you? Jed, you introduce.
God damn it, you ruined it! Fuck you, man! You knew I was going to do that, didn't you?
Yeah. So this is Cute Fuzzy Weasel. Once again, we're doing another Disjointed Talk. The first time I've done 2 Disjointed Talks in one day, but everyone wants
This is
to
the
do
first time
another
we
one.
recorded too.
Well, okay, yes. And this one is on death in video games, and we all have a different core subject, I think, that we're focusing on. He wants to focus on how a video game handles death. I'm personally going to focus on ridiculous plot cutscene deaths. And Jeb, what are you doing?
Gameplay deaths.
Yeah, that.
And so who wants to... I started last time, so let's start with either... You want to start with Joe?
I don't know. What do I want to start with?
Well, what do you want?
On my show. On my channel.
That we're all contribute. That we are all doing.
So in Metal Gear Solid, you see a lot of bullshit deaths, am I right?
Yes.
You know, you'll just soak up thousands and thousands and thousands of bullets, right?
But all you gotta do is eat to heal it.
Yeah, you can eat 15 tons of E rations in a K rations, sorry. 15 tons of K rations in like a second. But you get bit by a snake and you're fucked.
Well, that is kind of on the subject of stupid plot deaths. I mean, it's on stupid gameplay deaths, but yeah.
Hey, like, you can consume enough food to kill a village. Not just feed, but kill them.
Stuff them so full of food they rip open.
But if you fall down a 10-foot ledge, you will die.
Yeah.
Or games like Mass Effect, right? Where you soak up rockets, and then in one cutscene you can get hit in the shoulder.
And just bleed out.
And then it's like, oh god, I need help. Like what's his face? The reptilian guy. God, what are they called? Thane, not Thane.
Thane was the only reptilian.
No, okay, reptilian amphibian.
You're talking about
Morton?
Garrus?
Morton! No, not Morton. I'm talking about the STG guy. From Mass Effect 3, if you rescued the STG guy, he shows up again, and then he gets shot a few times, and I think he gets stabbed.
So not the Turian. The Crowan? Who
No,
the fuck are you talking about?
The Solarian! From the first game, remember?
Yeah,
Like the first game?
Yes,
The STG guy, when you're storming...
Oh, him.
Yes, him. Captain
Okay.
Kirrahe.
Thank you.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I saw him get shot in the face.
And walk it off.
And then some guy just stabs him, and it's like, oh no, I've been stabbed. Getting shot in the face didn't affect me, but I've been stabbed.
What about in Fallout, where your enemy or in Oblivion,
You
where,
walk
your
off a
partners-
mini nuke and then you get shot in the
your
head.
partners can get up from anything. Like they will never die.
Dude, they can be eaten by a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex.
And then show up
Disembodied corpse will reassemble and crouch for you to revive.
Yeah, it's just this. But then you have this one conversation with them, it's like, oh, I must go now and die, and they die, they just disappear and die.
Or worse.
Can't even loot their corpse.
Or worse, they'll just straight up die right there. They'll be like, I have to die now. Wag! Just fall over.
Okay, I think the most egregious of all has to be Halo, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, where everybody...
Spartans, they will soak up a rocket to the dick. But you splash them with water, they drown. I'm sorry, but why weren't the fucking Covenant using water guns?
The Spartans always struck me as kind of a weird oxymoron, because on one hand they are like super soldiers, And then they go off and do really stupid things. Like turn their back on a dark hallway.
Like
That's
take their helmet off in what's clearly a blind spot and a great spot for a sniper.
Yeah, like they do that stuff, even though you've seen...
I got fantastic military training. I've already been blown up twice. I lost the faith. I'm going to take my face off. I'm going to take my face off. Oh, damn, I didn't see this coming.
Despite the fact that that one guy got slashed a bunch of times by a bunch of energy swords, it's this one time where it actually does something.
Yeah, he's not wearing his plot armor anymore.
Yeah, they're not wearing their cutscene armor.
Oh, cutscene. What about the cutscene gun in Mass Effect?
You mean the pistol that can shoot down the thing?
Cutscene pistol was amazing.
Regular pistol.
I wanted that in the game.
But one shot and everything dies.
One shot.
I wanted to shoot that little ghost child with it.
Even though if you do that now in the extended cut, you lose.
Seriously?
You lose if you shoot the ghost kid. If you shoot the star child, you lose the game.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But you can't, but you lose. And it doesn't matter how many resources or wartime stuff you got during the whole game. None of that really matters. Ultimately, it doesn't. It doesn't even really affect the outcome.
Yeah,
you just get a different you get a slightly altered cutscene with somebody else not dying.
You get a slightly altered clip show at the end. They ruined that series. They killed it. They killed it.
I can't even look out of the
So
side.
going back to death, like a gameplay death, right? Is what we're talking about?
Hey, you said start off with the topic and then just see where it goes.
True. Well, I think death, the way you handle death in a video game is really important, like, in terms of how do you handle when the player dies, as opposed to how you handle, like, when an NPC or when another character dies. And there's some games where I feel that they just get it completely wrong. Like, there's a lot of games where when you die, there doesn't feel like there's much consequence. And it's not so much done in a way that's, like, to alleviate, because there's some games where you're going to die a lot and it makes it okay, like Super Meat Boy. You're going to die a lot. So even when you die, it doesn't feel like that big of a deal because the game is designed
But
for
it's
that.
it's a video game, though.
True.
Like, I mean, death in a video game...
Noah's dream game where you die once, it uninstalls, you never purchase again?
Yeah, that would be death in a video game done realistic.
But let's compare it to, like, when you die in a game
like break your computer permanently.
What about a game that like when you die, like a game in Dark Souls? When you die in Dark Souls, you lose all of your souls and are taken back to the last place that you healed at. And if you die before you go and recover your souls, you lose all of it, including the humanity that you built up, and that creates a real consequence for dying in the game, and it makes it feel like there's this it's like sort of like dying in Minecraft. You lose everything that you're carrying on your person. And you feel, and you're back down to levels.
Yeah, but when I die in Dark Souls, I don't shout fucking creepers every time. It's always that variation. Minecraft does it wrong because it's always fucking creepers.
Yeah, it really is. Nothing has ever really killed my character in Minecraft aside from creepers.
Hey, even if you like drown in lava or some shit, it's still fucking creepers that blew
It's creepers that blew the hole in the thing, or it's creepers that knocked down or destroyed whatever it is you're trying to pick up. It's creepers that do everything. It's creepers that... I bet if you took creepers out of Minecraft...
Creepers shot JFK!
They did. There was a creeper on the grassy knoll, and he was able to blend in.
But the thing about it is, like, it makes the weight of the consequence of death in a game.
Yeah.
The consequence of death in a game,
it's weird.
Needs to, like, it should be felt. It should have weight.
He's eggplant.
Yeah, what does
you're
Nasu
right.
mean in Japan?
Nasu Man actually means nothing, believe it or not, because I spell it because the way it's spelled.
Oh God, why this?
Wait, bring it up.
No, he's got a video. He's explained it.
I've explained this.
Go to his channel and fucking watch. Don't get him started.
But there's also games where dying is actually kind of is somewhat enjoyable in a really because it's when you die, the way you die.
Dead Space.
Dead Space, they make you. Well, it's sort of like
it's dark, but it's so entertaining to see your face melt off.
Oh yeah, like
When a baby climbs on you and eats you.
like it takes in the way it treats your death. It's like, yeah, you died, you screwed up, and now we're gonna make you watch how badly the consequence of that is. Or what about like in a game like Conker's Bad Fur Day, where dying is really, really funny because you get to go and meet death. And he's just this hilarious character. It's every time you die, it makes you feel bad for dying, but you're also like introduced to this hilarious character.
You know, if I ever meet death, I'm going to challenge him to a board game, specifically Connect 4 since it's a solved game. First player can always win.
There's also like, there's also games like where dying in a game is handled pretty well when it feels like, I don't know, like there's some games where when you die, there doesn't feel like there's enough of a consequence. Like,
well, what? There's sometimes there just can't.
That doesn't need to be a consequence.
Like Half-Life, there really isn't any consequence so long as you've been saving regularly.
Okay,
like, there really is.
I'll give you a prime example of one where dying is of no consequence. Saints Row 3. Saints Row 3, you die, you just spawn at the last hospital, and you're free to kick people in the nuts, flying naked leap into people's faces, anything you want, and it's so much fun because of that. Death is just a monetary, I throw $100 at death and he goes away for a bit.
That's kind of how it works in real life.
No, in real life you throw tens of thousands of dollars at death.
Well, hundreds of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, you convert through a video game economy.
No, if you're converting through a video game economy at Saints Row, you're throwing billions of dollars at death because you're making it hand over fist every time you kill someone.
Well, in Saints Row, you can just spawn, like...
No, you can because you're a cheater.
No, you can go over to your house and just get a VTOL and fly around.
Yeah, you're right. You do have billion-dollar aircraft that just appear
just there. And it doesn't even matter if you've used that same thing dozens
you can
of times.
fucking destroy it. You can sink $15 million worth of military hardware, and it's there again.
I only regret that I beat the game. I beat the game, but I never landed on the aircraft carrier before it sunk. I didn't do that. It was in the back of my mind, like, I really should land on that, but I want to play with Zemos more.
Oh, you can always do a second playthrough.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a second playthrough. I really like that game. That was very much worth my purchase, and I'm definitely getting Saints Row the 4th.
so we ever played
So it's got the Weasel seal of approval.
Heart of Darkness?
Yeah, it's a PS1 game, and it was a adventure game or Out of This World. Has anyone played that?
No.
Like adventure
We play
games.
good games.
This is how I feel when I'm talking to people about old computer games.
Abe's Odyssey.
And I'm like, hey, you ever play Shattered Steel? And they're like, what? And
Is
it's
that
like,
like Call of Duty mod?
that's BioWare's first game. And they're like, BioWare? And I'm like, who are you?
And then they revealed that they are from
Yo no hablo inglés.
that they're giant rock monsters.
No, they go, well, BioWare, what'd they make? It's like Mass Effect. And already, I swear, people are going,
What's Mass
oh yeah, Mass Effect! Man, it's been a long time since I played that.
Remember Neverwinter Nights?
It's been a long time since I wanted to play Mass Effect.
Well, okay, there's played and then there's wanted to play. I've
played it out of obligation.
I've played it to finish all of my save games out of obligation, but
I've played it as a fuck you to EA, just because I hate Origin. I want to play a game that will work on their system.
Come to think of it, I haven't played Mass Effect since I got the new computer.
It won't look any better. It's maxed out on mine.
Of course it won't. It won't look any better than anything because they rushed the third one.
It's running on the exact same engine as the second.
I kind of just like playing Mass Effect 1 and 2 a lot. This became a big conversation about Mass Effect 2.
The irony of why it's on the same engine. Do you know why it's on the same engine? Why they said it originally? They said they wanted it on the same engine so they could focus more on the story. We want it on the same engine so we can focus on making new holes in it.
See, this is the choices they give you now.
No, they don't give you a choice.
Which, Jeremy, they give you left or right. You don't want the middle.
Which it does kind of swing back to the original topic, kind of.
Death?
How stupid things are in video game death?
It's death in two ways. It's death in they don't give you really an option aside from the destroy, which may or may not mean you're still alive, and it's a death of a franchise. It's the painful death of a franchise.
Is it weird?
And now they've just called that zombie hotline and are trying to bring it back.
They're bringing it back with the fourth one, but it has nothing to do with any of the Mass Effect.
Is it weird that I'm excited for the new Dragon Age more than I am for Mass Effect things?
No, that's understandable. Dragon Age can be saved.
Dragon Age can be saved.
The second one, despite everyone's woes, I did enjoy. Because the gameplay was still fun. It was repetitive as fuck, and the story was okay. But the gameplay was fun because you could cut a little gray guy in half.
I think the thing about it is that there's this world that they created. Like, the thing about Mass Effect that's really great is the world.
Yeah.
Like the lore, the universe it sets up for you.
And then they destroyed it.
I want to know if Turians
They destroyed it.
They destroy it because they forget that's what made them great.
They destroyed it, and you never even really got to see it either.
Like, I don't even know if Turians lay eggs.
They only introduced a female Turian once, and then they killed her.
I'm seriously curious if they lay eggs or not, okay?
I think they do.
There's a thing about...
But they're cold-blooded. They pretty much say that.
Yeah, they're cold-blooded. But
cold-blooded does not give live birth in nature.
Well, in Earth nature.
In Earth biology, but they're on another planet.
So they lay really tough eggs.
They can fudge it.
Well, but the thing is that
you're right. Krogans do give live birth as well. So
we've got this really interesting world created for us.
Are Krogans cold-blooded?
No, they're mammalian actually.
Are Krogans mammalian?
Yes,
they look
because they're very.
I think they're reptilian mammalian.
I thought they're more like dinosaurs.
Well, reptilian mammalian.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like dinosaurs and stuff like that.
Well, dinosaurs are more like birds. Birds are warm-blooded, but they lay eggs.
Back to Turians. Do they lay eggs?
I'm pretty sure Turians do not lay eggs.
I bet you they're like sharks, and the eggs are just internal.
Yeah. Okay.
That would make sense.
Actually, what if they're like tiger sharks and they actually have multiple eggs, and then the fetuses all kill each other in the womb?
It's a very Krogan thing.
Yeah, but Turians are not peaceful.
Well, no, but they're not animals.
Technically, our sperm do that to each other. It's just more of a race to the death.
Well, you see what we're talking about right here, though? Like, we're talking about lore, we're talking about what goes on inside of this world.
We're talking about what goes on in their ovaries.
Yeah, we should really get back to ultimately what happened.
But the thing is that Mass Effect 3 forgets that there is this beautiful world, this lore,
it doesn't forget. It spends the whole time reminding you that it's about to end.
I think half of Mass Effect 3 forgets. I think the beginning and towards the end, that remembers, especially the Citadel, how things degrade on the Citadel. But then the combat and the story starts to forget, and then you get to the final battle, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, we fight through all these horrid battles at the end. Like, the battle leading up to the entrance to the Citadel at the end. You fight through that fucking impossible wave of bullshit enemies that shouldn't fucking be there to begin with.
Wave after wave after wave.
And then it's just same ending regardless.
And then it's like, well, you run towards this light beam, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh, and the elusive man is here
because
we said he's here, and so is that guy.
So's the guy from all the Army commercials and everything.
Yeah, he's here. David's here too.
And you're here, and you're really hurt because you got hit by that beam.
But you walked it off.
You walked off the death beam.
Because you're Shepard.
Because you're Shepard. And you can never be better than Commander
And indoctrination theory isn't true. That's not going to take part in the beginning of the fourth.
Yeah.
He's totally not indoctrinated, even though I guarantee you that's the way they're going to go with it if they make a fourth.
No, I don't think they're going to go indoctrination
I do.
theory.
I honestly just want...
Because EA will fuck us that hard.
I really wish they had gone with indoctrination theory with the extended cut ending. Because indoctrination theory was about the only damn thing that made sense.
Yep.
It made perfect sense with what we've been given.
And if they had gone with
But
it...
instead, no, they went with Shepard's Dead.
If they had gone with indoctrination theory, I mean, just think
They
about
could
how...
have pulled it out of the fire.
It would have been so... They could have turned around and made themselves look so clever, too.
That would have been reaching into the fire and a phoenix rising out.
But instead, it's like...
Reaching in the fire and getting third-degree burns.
It's reaching in the fire and pulling out a turd.
Instead, they gave us the extended cut ending, and then they gave us that other DLC, which introduced the creatures that made the Reapers.
And they're kind of sort of interesting.
And they look like big floating cuttlefish that can go into space. And, you know, honestly, the less we knew about the Reapers, the better. Yeah.
We didn't need an explanation. They were just this... They were the unstoppable force.
Because the thing about enemies that you set up to be, like, unknowable or you can't comprehend what they're thinking, you can't comprehend how to make them either. So when you take that, it's like what they did with Q from Star Trek. When you take the thing, it's like, you can't comprehend what I'm thinking until we turn my world into the antebellum South.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out we just haven't had sex in millions of years. and then we're really shitty, and we only exist to drive plot points.
Or the Borg.
The Borg were cool until they threw the Queen in.
Or they were cool until we realized what they were.
The Borg were cool until they threw the Queen in. I liked the Borg until First Contact when they pussified them.
Yeah, you're right.
They threw the Queen in, and then all of a sudden, no, it's not a scary...
They Dobbenmeired them.
What?
They Dobbenmeired them.
Yeah, they Dobbenmeired them. They were really cool, you know, as this menacing alien collective that you really couldn't understand unless you were inside them. And then it turns out, well, they're all run by this bitch.
And even then, we actually had someone inside of them. We had Locutus.
Yeah, we had Locutus, which...
That was terrifying. No, that created... Locutus was scary because it was...
Locutus was cool until they ruined Locutus in First Contact.
Well, they ruined the Borg in First Contact.
They ruined a lot of things in First Contact.
But, honestly, like...
They shit my pants in First Contact.
In Mass Effect, the problem with Mass Effect is that we're given this world. We're given this world that we're spending 2 games really focusing on learning and exploring and enjoying. And the third game just kind of drops the ball in almost every respect and gives us the most unsatisfying ending of all time. And
the third game was supposed to be a swan song.
And
instead it was a goose's call.
Well, no, it was a swan song. It wasn't
a swan song. It was a drunk goose.
Well,
the third game was just the third game completely ripped off the ending to Deus Ex.
You're right.
They virtually stole the Deus Ex ending. All 3 of them.
I just wish that we could take the world of Mass Effect and just kind of disassociate it from the first 3 games.
Well, if they remade the third one,
well, I'm at the point where
if they expand upon the ending and turn it into indoctrination theory, at this point it'd still be infuriating.
I don't even need indoctrination theory at this point. I just want expanded endings because that whole game of all the possibilities that you were introduced to narrow it down to 3. Like,
narrow it down to 3 with just a different color filter.
It's not even the color filter, just the 3. Like, even just the 3, like taking out the ludicrous story that the 3 did. A company like BioWare, in association with a mega company like EA, couldn't throw the money together to make 5 or 8 or 10?
Remember when games just have these, like, ridiculous number of endings? Like, Silent Hill 2 had, like, what is it, 8 endings?
No, you misunderstand. People don't know. Because people wouldn't pay attention to them.
Yeah, people don't care.
A video game is something that you can do while texting. And playing.
A video game is something you can do while playing the mobile version.
See, I remember.
And you can watch TV. It's important that you're able to watch Netflix while you play your game. In fact, it's really important that a new console be able to watch TV and play games in the background because people don't pay attention.
See,
you just want picture-in-picture with your Angry Birds in the corner.
Yeah, I mean that's what people care about.
See, I remember when
Weren't we talking about video game deaths, not the death of video games?
well, no, that's what we're on now, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, well, and I don't think games are like there's a death in video games in general because there are still good games being made.
Yeah, there are.
But
They're
like
fantastic
the
games
industry, the industry isn't dying. It's making more money than ever.
It's got an annoying.
It's got a path. It's got a path change that it really needs to go under. Like whether or not it wants to go to really focusing on making good games.
And I'm happy to see core gamers pushing it that way.
Yeah, or whether it wants to go down the path where games are like.
Has anyone else noticed the coming trend in more story-driven games again instead of multiplayer?
Well, that's because gaming are becoming more. Games are becoming more. It
was so connected that now people want it to be more interesting again.
It's games are becoming more like movies, like. Mass Effect 2 is a really good movie. Mass Effect 2 is a really good movie.
Mass Effect 2 is a really good movie.
But
Mass Effect 2 is a really good miniseries.
But the thing is that we need. But is that a game? Is it worth a game anymore? Like Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13 2, Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. Like, can you call those games anymore?
To be fair, I've never played a full Final Fantasy game.
I never.
But like we're talking about games with like.
I've never made it more than 15 minutes into a Final Fantasy.
It's a hallway simulator.
I did see the Spoonie review.
It's a hallway simulator.
I saw the Spoonie review, so I played the game.
It's a hallway simulator. You go here.
I watch porn, so I get laid all the time.
You never stray too far from the hallway. You may reach areas where you think you're safe from the hallway, but inevitably the hallway comes back.
Exactly.
It is the hallway.
You're this.
There is no escape from the hallway.
Yeah, it's this, and it may not look like a hallway. It may look like this huge, expansive environment.
If it doesn't look like a hallway, go left. You'll find the hallway.
But the problem is that you're always stuck on this particular path to get to the next cutscene, with random battles thrown in between. And
actually, they're not random. In that game, all the battles are there.
That's right.
There is no variation.
That's true.
There is no randomness in the hallway.
You can even avoid the battles. Like there is a complete way to play through this entire game without avoiding like a lot of the battles except for the major ones. And the only reason you're battling is to grind your level up. And it's upsetting that like a game that should be about like they're so much focusing on the story, they forget that you can tell a story, that you can really express a story through gameplay. Like there's this philosophy that gameplay and story are now two very different things.
You can even express a story through a hallway.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, all of Half-Life 1 was basically a hallway.
Yeah, but the story is still told very well.
I'll give you a good one.
The story is told without a cutscene.
Borderlands 2, the last DLC, the Tiny Tina's Escape from Dragon Keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the surface, it's just them playing an RP. But you also see the character Tiny Tina, which is one that, in the beginning, I found completely annoying. Just infuriating. But this is, and little spoiler here, this takes place after Roland's death.
Yeah.
She spends the entire time talking about how we shouldn't be doing this, Roland's not here. She turns Roland into the grand hero, into the most important character in the DLC pack. And it all centers around the emotional point where she breaks down in tears because not only does she want to accept that Roland's dead, but she doesn't want to forget about him. And that was one of the single best story moments I've seen in a recent game because they centered it all around fun, engaging gameplay, a fantastic story, but still made you care about the characters in a way that most games don't even try to.
Now, could you have spotted that from the beginning? Like I haven't played Borderlands. It's one of the games that I need to buy eventually.
You mean spotted her having to deal with it?
Was it like the dog?
No, it wasn't like the dog.
It's not like the dog.
Well,
the Call of Duty dog.
Okay. Which is where
Cod Dog, we know he'll either die in the beginning or half an hour from the end.
I have a feeling the Cod Dog will die probably in the middle of the end.
I'm anticipating. Okay, Cod Dog dies in some tragic, unforeseen way,
and some tragic force.
And then you get this aggro moment where you're the main character just plowing through waves of brainless enemies with 2 guns, shouting, "My dog!" until you fight the main guy in a quick time event, and then you watch a cutscene about how the world is rebuilding after this war.
Or something.
Yeah.
So
Something.
I think the dog's gonna die in the 3rd act, but
It's either going to be first act as a fuck you to the gamers, or third act as a fuck you to the storyteller.
That would be a really interesting choice. I mean, it would turn
the
the game...
tutorial you play as the dog, then after that...
It would turn into a funny game if the very first scene was a dog running across a minefield. We know this is the only reason why you bought the game.
Hey, gamers, I see that you enjoy playing as this dog, right? Main character pulls out a sidearm. Onto the main game.
like I can see like the dog dies in the 3rd. Like, dog's probably gonna die in the 3rd act, but it's like I was thinking, like, what is the point of the, like, what does the dog really bring to
For me, it's gonna cheapen the dog's death, because I'm gonna play the game.
Well,
I'm probably gonna enjoy it. It's gonna cheapen the dog's death if, in the hours prior to this, I watch the dog soak up gunshots, get stabbed, shot, blown up, take 17 RPG shells to the asshole, and then get taken out by a 9mm round that's just a stray that was meant for you.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up taking a bullet for you.
Yeah,
after
okay,
soaking
you got
up machine
big bad
gun
guy
fire.
standing over you with his revolver, because bad guys use revolvers in Call of Duty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got his revolver. It's a big 357. Sighting down on you. You're injured, laying there, bleeding. You think your dog is out of action. He's been injured already.
Yeah, from
He
something.
fires. Slow-mo, because you gotta have slow-mo for this scene. Dog, out of nowhere.
Even though a bullet like that would go straight through the dog.
Yeah, it's
But
it'd
that's
still kill you.
But that's
Yeah.
but that's like the problem. That's actually where this conversation began.
The only reason the dog's in the game is
to
because
give you an emotional
so
connection.
many people have died in games
that it's
that you can't. It's like, what's the point of getting attached to someone?
It's kind of
when you-
like
when you-
Fallout 3, where you plow through literally thousands of people, but when you get dog meat, it's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. But the thing is, what's going on is they can't write
A compelling person.
A compelling person who's not motivated by anything other than like revenge, like Captain Price.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got to be this.
It's got to be the dog, because dogs are innocent. They don't have an agenda.
It's innocent and it's loyal, and they have to kill somebody like that to make it important.
Yeah,
Wait,
and then they can kill the dog, and it'll be like, oh my god, that game was so emotional because they killed the cute animal.
Wait, yeah, I think you guys are missing the point. I don't think you guys realize the dog's the final boss.
Oh, if you have
The dog was betraying you the whole time.
The dog is the leader of the Russian army, of course. We didn't know.
I knew it. It's the shifty-eyed dog from Family Guy.
Like that's the one who did it. It's the dog.
It's the
The
dog.
fucking dog caused World
And
War IV.
there's like a cutscene where you turn around, but wait, that would mean, and you turn around and the dog is somehow holding a gun.
Well, no, it doesn't have a gun.
It's
just got a knife in its mouth.
Yeah.
No. You think tongue hanging at the side, a big ass Bowie knife.
No, better yet, the dog dies. The dog dies in the first act. And, gets blown by a mine. And then it pulls a fucking speck off the line, and you're like captured by the final guy. And you go to he's in a skyscraper, and he's sitting in the chair, and he's like, the commander will see you now. And then you're held at gunpoint, and it turns around, and he's in his chair. So you see the dog with a fucking cigar. No, not stroking the dog. The dog is the commander. He's got a cigar in his mouth, and you just sit there, and the dog just looks at you.
That's like Spec Ops: The Line?
No, not at all.
Okay, good, because I haven't played that game yet.
No.
And I've been trying to.
I'm gonna punch you in the face if that's the end.
No, not at all. The only thing.
Seriously, shut the fuck up now.
The only thing.
Shut the
is
fuck
you
up
get
at this
to see
point.
The final person in a building.
Will you shut the fuck up?
That's all you get.
God damn it!
You ruined part of the game somehow.
It's the smallest part.
Do you not get What? Shut the fuck up. Translate to in English.
Do you not understand that we're two really intelligent people, and from a single detail, we could quite possibly extrapolate the entire ending?
No.
Jeremy, look, seriously. I suspect everyone. Okay?
And you said it's gonna be like Spec Ops, where
It's someone you see in a building.
and
There's not a lot of buildings in the sandy
you
desert.
kind of imply that it's someone you see before by using the dog.
It's nothing like it.
Really?
I promise you guys.
You promise.
I promise you.
If you're lying, I'm going to castrate you.
I'm not lying. I promise you. I promise you. I have spoiled nothing of this game for you.
Because I really want to play that game.
Please get this game and play. Spec Ops: The Line. Yes, please play that game. Like, I have not spoiled a damn thing for you. Trust me. It is such a good game.
I swear to God, if you've already spoiled that there's helicopter flights at the very beginning of the game, I'm going to be angry.
You can use guns. That's my spoiler for you for Spec Ops: The Line. You're shooting guns.
Oh,
See, this is just like when he told me to get a sword in Oblivion. You fuckers ruined everything.
This is like the time he told me that Fallout had a title.
Yeah.
And I was able to understand the whole game from that.
I thought Fallout was going to be out of a you just got a parachute, and it's just falling simulator.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
You fall out of the plane.
But I said Fallout as one word, and then you guys immediately figured it out.
Then we figured nuclear fallout.
Yeah, immediately I knew the entire
post-apocalyptic. You gotta find your father.
You guys are really good at that. I told Super Mario Brothers, and you immediately.
Oh, I don't give it.
You immediately said Turtles.
Super Mario
You immediately went to Turtles.
Okay, look, I make Sherlock Holmes look like a bitch.
So we were talking about death in video games. We were talking about this dog, and that's where kind of all this kind of was like spurned from.
We were trying to make bets at what point in the game the dog gets killed.
I'm still going for final act just before the last fight.
I would go for middle of the end because I think
you want to give us you want to give the gamers a compelling revenge mission.
Because that's all.
I'm expecting it to be a one-on-one revenge fight to the death against the guy that killed your dog.
Yeah, because that's all that carries games now is revenge.
You know what?
That's all they're ever about is revenge.
I'm gonna be the odd one out, and I'm gonna say that the final level is you playing as the dog, killing people with your robots, with your robot legs, with guns everywhere.
Actually, okay.
So wait, the end of the Far Cry 3 game thing?
Where you're what?
What was the name of the DLC for Far Cry?
You mean Blood Dragon?
The end of Blood Dragon, where you're just a blood dragon that talks?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's gonna be the Call of Duty ending now.
Actually, if Call of Duty really wanted to impress me, Call of Duty would end with everyone dying except the dog.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then it's like the dog is on its own. And that's the final scene. If they really wanted to impress me, they'd do that.
And the dog has lost everything.
And then they make a sequel. And then they make a sequel to that.
And ultimately, the whole thing was just about the dog, but as a character and not as a plot device.
Yeah, if the dog is the pivotal character, then they may pull this wrong.
And it's like the dog pulls itself out of rubble, and it's like limping.
Limping off. It's got to go nurse its own wounds. It's become dependent on this master.
Or they go for a really full downer and they make you feel like maybe the dog should have survived, and then they just kill the dog, like in the very last frame.
Well, then I'll just break the disc.
No, see
they take everything away from you. You beat the final bad guy, but at a horrible cost.
They try and go for nuance, so they're going to imply the death.
No, they're going to do like the Mist.
Actually,
you ever seen that?
No. Mist.
It's a
remake or the original?
Well, I don't think there was a. Is that a remake? Because I remember it's based off a Stephen King book.
No, there were 2 Mist movies.
Well, the new one where he spoiler alert for the Mist.
If they're fucking on my bed, I'm gonna be upset.
Were they? Okay. Well, spoiler alert for the Mist is at the end.
If they're fucking on my bed, I'm gonna be upset.
At the end, they the main character kills his son and all of his friends inside of their car and tries to kill himself. And then, as the mist starts alleviating, they realize that the world, because they think the world's going to end, and he just kills everyone, and he empties his gun, killing everyone else but himself, and he's trying to kill himself. And then he realizes that the military's finally stepped in and is saving everyone. And he just sits there like he just killed his son and his loved ones for nothing, and it's just the most ultimate, downer ending.
Except now he's single again.
But
See, then you just segue straight into Austin Powers.
But
I'm single again, baby.
But if they went for something that's just as ultimately is just heartbreaking as that kind of ending, if they really go for the
they have to go really hard, because our generation is just as jaded as I just was.
Just kill everyone, have the dog survive, but then just the dog.
You don't need to see the dog die, it's just the implication of death. Seeing the dog die would be cathartic because you know how it ends.
Oh, okay.
Wondering.
How about this? You see the dog get out, and then you see an enemy soldier just behind him, and then it goes flash and you hear the gun.
Exactly. The implication of death without the visual.
If they did that, I would still break the disc.
Yeah, but it'd be.
I'm really tired of overly dramatic endings in games.
That's why I like things like Saints Row 3, where it's just completely fun.
Okay, let me preference that. I'm tired of overly dramatic and ultimately pointless endings.
There you go.
There, yeah.
I don't mind a dramatic ending
because the drama is what keeps us coming.
Because the drama is what makes it worth it sometimes.
Call of Duty is notorious for pointless endings.
But it's the pointlessness of the ending.
We've got to stop World War III. We've got to stop World War. You're stopping World War III for 5 games, and then in Modern Warfare 2, fucking World War III.
Because
it's indulgent. It's very indulgent. You're right.
Indulgent isn't bad, but
it's very self-indulgent. It's very much
it's overabundant.
It's like
gaming is obese.
It's like Mass Effect. It is like Mass Effect because no matter what you do,
it's ultimately pointless.
Ultimately, it's just red. Blue,
you can spend literal months of your life
playing that game,
narrowed down to
under the assumption that what you do matters. Under the cruel assumption that the war assets you gather will matter in that final fight.
You think EA is trying to teach a life lesson there?
No.
That ultimately,
no matter what you do, you're going to get fucked in the end?
Unless you have lots of money.
Sodomy.
I'm
tired of digital sodomy.
I'm tired of being sodomized by the game companies.
The game companies are sodomizing our children with their ideas.
Intellectual sodomy.
Visual
sodomy.
Visual sodomy.
Fiscal sodomy.
Educational sodomy.
Because I'm tired of pay to win.
Wait, that's still going on?
Pay to win's still going on.
Have you ever played any MMO? Well, no, you actually don't play.
Any free to play MMO ever? Period.
I don't.
Not everyone.
Yeah, you can't.
My internet connection is.
I don't even not saying you. I just don't think you would play. I just don't think it's the kind of I don't think MMOs are kind of.
He doesn't like people enough to play MMOs.
Well,
I like tabletop games.
Yeah, you seem to be much more personal.
I like chocolate milk.
I think
I like strawberry yogurt.
It's a social game, MMO social games, but I don't think they would really appeal to the kind of the kind of player you are, because you seem to be MMOs are a lot about
teamwork.
Oh, okay. If they had co-op Kerbal Space program.
Competitive Kerbal Space program.
Well, okay. Here's the only problem with competitive
Cold War Space program.
The problem with competitive Kerbal Space program is that in the game there's an option to speed up time.
We'll just take that away.
And otherwise, you're sitting there for over 6 hours. Without speed up time, it's the actual length of a real mission.
You could approach it more in the way that Max Payne approached it. Where, one guy uses his time-slowing ability, everybody gets it applied, but it's only a short-lived burst.
Or what if it's more what if it's sort of more like Civilization?
Or if you just you shrink the scope a little bit. Yeah.
Well, then it becomes.
Then it stops being Kerbal. That's what Kerbal Space Program is.
I guess if it was like Saints Row or something where you elect like this user wants to speed up time.
Yeah.
You let it, and then you let it.
Yeah.
Or like the game doesn't matter if you're in the vehicle building stuff. Like then
It just matters if you make it. Like that's what I'm saying. Like something like Civilization, where it's kind of like you're in your own little world, they're in their own little world, but you're trying to see who gets there more efficiently.
Well, Civilization works because Civilization is turn-based.
Well, what I'm saying is that take it more of a less. Instead of making it like an actual race, it's based on more of like the efficiency.
Just don't measure it on his death count because you murder Kerbals like crazy.
I have begun a more realistic space program where I am not crashing Kerbals into the sun.
But Soviets firing monkeys into outer space.
But the thing is that
That's the way I play Kerbal. If
is,
they don't come back, I could give a fuck. I've killed Jebediah Kerbin 742 times.
I had a similar philosophy to that in my earlier playthroughs, and honestly, if a crew got lost up in space, I just
wave.
No, I just told them all to EVA and terminated them in the observation thing, and then just assumed that they died in the capsule, and there were dead Kerbins floating around in these capsules. Actually, I had one crew.
Death in video games.
I was going to give an order.
We always wind up where we started.
I was going to give an order to them. It was like, well, you don't have enough. I was like role playing with, just like, you don't have enough fuel to get back, so we're just going to leave you out there. And they were like, okay, well, we're just going to come around that. And they all got out of the ship, and then the ship went full throttle and hit all of them. And sent them like a shotgun.
You know what I really want to do? I want to do an entire playthrough where I just try and successfully land a craft with an external seat.
They've done, actually, Scott Manley does that all the time. All the time.
Yeah, but I can't land a craft, period.
Yeah, but if the cool thing about landing it with an external seat is if you land it just right, the whole ship will be gone, but your Kerbin will be okay.
You just skin in on the fucking seat.
Yeah, and so you'll be on the moon without a ship.
Yeah, but you got a chair.
No, you won't even have the chair. Like, that's how it works. It's a weird glitch where the chair gets destroyed, but you're okay. So it's because technically the Kerbal can actually survive a greater impact than one of the parts. I think it's like a strut or something. So if you put the Kerbal chair on the strut will hit, and that'll cushion the blow, and then the Kerbal will be okay. It's a weird thing, but yeah, you could do that. I have stranded Kerbins in orbit around the sun, outside of ships. I have stranded Kerbins on Elo.
The things
You've got Kerbins moving at the speed of light around the sun.
I set a Kerbin alone in a capsule going with
out into the black.
Just out. I was using a deuterium tank, and I just told it to burn forever. And it just went so far out that he actually was so far away from the sun that the solar panel stopped working. So
it's just out there.
So he's just out there with no power.
It's a shame they're immortal.
It's a shame Kerbins can't die. I'd really like Kerbins to suffocate or something and end up like with a Kerbin skeleton inside a suit. Like, that would be so cool.
You guys remember Lemmings?
Lemmings?
Yeah, these are just space lemmings to us.
Yeah, but Lemmings could die. Lemmings could just die.
God, I'm trying to remember Lemmings.
It was like you had like a whole bunch of them like in a row, and you had to get them through these little puzzles
without them murdering themselves.
I remember Elf Bowl.
Elf bowlings.
Elf bowling
was fun.
I like skipping the bowling ball and knocking one of their heads off.
I figured out how to always get like a strike though, because there's two arrows.
There was a variation of Elf bowling where you fling them. You remember that?
Yeah.
Angry Birds ripped that shit off.
Angry Birds also ripped off the Crush the Castle.
Well, Angry Birds ripped off Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, because there's stone.
Well, Angry Birds are like birds, and they're in the air. And there's air in Call of Duty.
Airplanes.
They're like airplanes. And there was Call of Duty.
Bombing bird. You get airdrops in Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's all a rip-off of Call of Duty.
They're green.
And there's like different
There's red.
colors.
Blood is red.
Yeah.
You gotta be specific now. You can't just be vague.
I think we
can't take the Apple approach.
There are green pigs in the bird game, and
Dr. Seuss had green ham.
there are pigs in Call of Duty,
Captain Price liked Dr. Seuss.
and Captain Price.
There weren't any pigs in Dune, now were there?
No.
Mm-mm.
But you know what was in Dune?
Guns.
Doom.
Doom.
Yeah.
There were guns in Doom.
That's right, and that was...
And
there were
personal
zombies
demons in Doom.
Doom.
You had to address your personal demons. You have to address your personal demons in COD by punching them.
And then COD. COD. The Jurassic Park rips off COD because in COD.
I'm done. No.
I think we're done here.
So did you know Power Rangers rips off COD?
Done.
Power Ranger rip off COD because COD. You know, hey.